Well, welcome back to Carolina Saltwater Living, y'all. The weather is too pretty not to get out here and try to fish. 52-degree water temp today. Drum might actually come up into the inlet, so that's where we're heading. If I don't have a heart attack before we get there. Tide's going out. I'm not even attempting to wet a line just yet unless it's really shallow in towards us, just because the current's ripping, y'all. It's going to be about 2 hours before we hit slack tide. Hopefully we'll have a slack tide today and it don't just turn around and start rolling back in. But I'll start fishing in probably about 30 minutes to an hour. I like fishing the last hour at outgoing and the first hour at ingoing, and hopefully not get snagged up. There's a bunch of dead oyster beds out here. Dead, more than likely, because this inlet has not been dredged in a while, and a lot of the water that comes out of Lockwood Folly River has trouble pushing all the way out. So a lot of stuff dies on account of that. So hopefully they'll get it dredged sooner or later. Until we get to fishing, there's my office chair. All right, y'all, so fishing on the beach, it got cold, y'all. The wind kicked up on us. We were out there for about 2 hours. Got a couple of solid bites. Lost quite a bit of bait. Just couldn't get a fish to commit and take the hook. It's just a little bit chilly yet, y'all. 50 degrees. Really needs to bump on up there about 55, minimal. Start getting maybe some drum in there. But what we do have, we're going to cook. And these are called weak fish or gray trout. Very similar to if you've ever had the spotted sea trout that are probably more recognized. This fish here, you can only keep one per day. And so when Lisa and I caught these two nice ones that were over the legal limit in size, I said, we're going to vacuum seal those, and I'm going to do some whole fish preparation. I'm going to fry this one that I think will fit in the pan. It's a little bit smaller, probably the one Lisa caught. And this larger one, I'm going to do in the oven on high heat to do a crispy bake. So I'm hoping that's going to go pretty good. And just in case this isn't good enough, I did go see my buddy Mike down in Varnumtown and picked up some dry scallops. We'll rinse those off, make sure there's no sand on them, bread them. We're frying those tonight. So a good end to a bad day of fishing with this right here. All right. So I don't know that these are actually going to fit, but I think we can make it work. This one, 14.5 inches. This one here is almost 16 inches. So definitely putting this one in the pan. Pan's about 11 3/4 inches. I'll get it done. And I'm going to fry it outside so I'm not stinking the house up tonight. But this one, I'll bake it in the oven. We'll start with this one because I want to show you how I'm going to treat it. The other one's just fried. We're going to roll it in the house sausage, seafood breader just like always, along with the scallops. And I'm going to use some leftover 50-50. That's the half all-purpose flour, half cornstarch. And I'm going to cut up a potato into some cubes, put it in there and fry it up. Really good fried potatoes instead of like onion rings or French fries or hush puppies for this seafood meal. So I'm going to show you how to doctor up this beautiful weak fish for the oven. All right, to start with, I've got an aluminum pan here. Rub me a line of olive oil on it. Throw this gray trout right onto it. This is a pretty good sized pan with some aluminum foil on it just to keep from sticking. And I want to oil up my fish. Outside, tail. I've got the oven temping to 400 degrees, y'all. So normally I do a fish low and slow, but I'm hoping to get a crispy fishtail out of this one. And maybe, just maybe, crisp up the skin just a little bit. So a light coating of olive oil to start with. Next up, kosher salt. All over it. Gonna flip it, do the same thing. Here's how I'm gonna show you a trick. You don't have to flip it. We'll pick it up and we're gonna season it right there on the other side. We'll just pick it up and set it into that. But before I do, I have a secret ingredient, y'all. Vinegar powder. This stuff is excellent with fish, chips, anything like that. Put it down here along with that salt. Go ahead and throw some up in the belly of the beast. Now take it over here and roll it over. Picks up almost every bit of that seasoning when you do it like that. So it works out really good. Beautiful fish. Into a 400-degree oven until it's done. Easy as pie. Now for this whole fish, I'm going to put it into a Ziploc bag with my seafood breader. And it's barely going to squeeze in there. But we need to do some shaking. Leave the air in the bag and shake it all over. Whole fish, y'all. Don't be intimidated by a whole fish. Fries up just like any other thing. Chicken leg or anything. You just want to cook it till it's done. And it doesn't take near as long as you might think. Take a spoon with you. You'll see me here in a minute. I'm going to cook this one outside. And you may be having to base some oil up on it, some hot grease, as it's going. But that is going to make for some good eats. Same exact thing with these scallops. Breader in the bag, rinsed and transferred to the bag. Leave plenty of air in it. And you can do these. You can buy those little plastic fish breading boxes. I noticed the Agri Supply and some other places carry them. But just go ahead and get them tossed and back into the fridge until ready to cook. Perfectly coated and ready to fry. It's frying day, y'all. We love frying day around here. One tater, y'all. Got one bad spot on it there. Cut it lengthwise. And start cutting it to about 1/2 inch thick slices. And then just straight through. These are just going to be, look, I dropped one down on the floor. Potato nuggets, y'all, that we're going to put straight into this 50-50 cornstarch and flour that's left over from another meal from the other day. And it's going to make some really good crispy potatoes, y'all. Better than French fries, honest to goodness. Kind of break it apart with your hand and you put them into the bag. And on this one, we're going to throw some salt in and go ahead and let that adhere to the potatoes at the same time as this seasoning. Kosher salt. Straight in the bag. Give it a good toss. And if you wanted to get crazy with this, you could throw some cayenne, stuff like that, make seasoned potatoes kind of like Bojangles seasoned fries. But I'm keeping it simple today. All right, let's start off with the oven baked. Crispy tail, I like that. We'll open it up. Look at this, look at this. The bones that just come right out of this fish, y'all. Set them to the side. It's screaming hot. Look at this. Flaky, wild caught gray trout. Saltwater gray trout, or known as weak fish. That has to be the mildest fish I have ever eaten. I've never eaten this, y'all. This is my first. I can see why people love the spotted sea trout if it's anything like this. It's been years since I've had that, so it's hard for me to remember, but it's extremely flaky and extremely mild. Way better than whiting. It's a shame you can only keep one, but that's the way it goes, y'all. Let's see how the fins ended up. You taste that vinegar. That is better than a Lay's salt and vinegar chip any day. All right, I'll bring a couple of scallops over. We'll try that. Then we're gonna try that fried fish. Check that out, y'all. I gotta start with the tail, because that's my favorite part. Crunchy. That's a real delicacy, y'all, if you've never tried it. Fried fish. Going straight with the skin and everything. Look at that. Ten times better than baked. I guess because you have those seasonings from that House Autry. Plus, it's just deep fried. Or pan fried. Not really deep fried. But I'm gonna tell you what, y'all. I have never had a saltwater fish that is this good. This is better than flounder. That's what most people are used to. This is way better. It's mild, yet it has good flavor. It's not fishy at all. And this has been in the freezer now for a couple of months. Vacuum sealed. And I'm gonna try something here. Fish eyeball, y'all. I can see why people like that. Not something that you're used to here in America. Tastes just like the rest of the fish. If anything, a little extra salty. Very good. Moving on to some scallops. No doubt, scallops, or scallops, however you want to say it, kind of like pecan and pecan, or pecan. Look at that. Now I'm going to cut into it so that you can see the tender white meat. I have to say, this is the best seafood I have ever had in my life. Scallops. And at about 20 bucks a pound, it's not something that we eat all the time. This is a treat for us. Fantastic, buttery, smooth. Just enough texture so that you know that it's not like a fillet of fish. And these breaded pieces of potato, russets. Basically, y'all, what I've made here is fish and chips Southern American style. Lisa threw a little bit of Tony Sachets on these potatoes when they came out of the heat, out of the grease. That really takes them up a notch. All right, y'all, we can't do this without some of my homemade slaw. Scallop inbound. Carolina style, sweet barbecue slaw, seafood slaw. It's a winning combo. Y'all can see why this is a treat for us. Once a week we fry. When I was growing up, we probably did it more than that, but it is so good, y'all. It is so good. If you have never had fried scallops, gray trout, breaded and fried potatoes, you're missing out. Guys, I hope that y'all have a good day and a great week, and Lord willing and the creek don't rise too high. We will see you on the next one. I'm going to enjoy these scallops.